Hello, it is Tuesday, July 4th, 2023. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a Tuesday crossword today, which means a themed puzzle. Perhaps it will be themed after the July 4th holiday. Who knows? But in any case, this Tuesday-themed edition of the Daily Solve has been brought to us by Laura Sexton, Victoria Rajishka, Kathleen Quinn, and, as always, the invaluable Timothy Mark, the indomitable Shoalmaster, and the incredible Horan family. So thank you so much to the 6 of them, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign, for your generous support. I really do appreciate it. Keeps this channel going. Thank you so much to them and to all patrons of the channel. If you'd like to consider directly supporting the channel yourself, you can head over to patreon.com/dailysolve or click the link in the description field underneath the video. It's hugely appreciated. But also, it's appreciated if you simply subscribe to the channel on YouTube. That's a big help. Thanks to everybody who's done that. And also, you can join the Daily Solve Discord chat server via a link in the description field. So head over there if you think you might want to check that out. All right, I'm going to quickly move on to the puzzle because I'm running very late today. I don't have very much time. There was one comment to read from yesterday's puzzle, so I'm going to try and have time for that. But for now, let's solve today's crossword by Barbara Lynn. She's constructed around 10 crosswords for the New York Times, and it was edited, as always, by Will Shorts. It is a Tuesday puzzle, so it will have a theme. Let's find out what it is, and let's start solving. Hoppy Brew, for short. This has become a favorite of the New York Times. IPA, India Pale Ale, I assume this was what's going in here. A hoppy, bitter beer. Second greatest oil producer in OPEC. Is it Iran, I would suspect? But let's check the crosses. Kylo Blank, Star Wars antagonist. Kylo Ren was is an antagonist in the recent Star Wars films. And then Blank is never finished, only abandoned. Art is never finished, only abandoned. I've certainly heard that before. I don't know if there's someone specific to whom it's attributed, but certainly seen that. Lima's home, well, Lima, Peru, of course. So there we have that. Library-like section of an Amtrak train. Oh, it's not Iran, it's Iraq. Sorry, I was completely wrong about that. And then, and the reason I think that is because the library-like section of not just an Amtrak train, but a train on many a railway, is the quiet car, where you might operate as though you're in a library and not make unnecessary noise. Okay, Amtrak being a sort of U.S. national railway, I suppose. Stuff that's the opposite of stuff. Antimatter. Oh, that's clever. That's a good simple clue. It's not misdirecting or anything particularly. It's just a nice way to phrase it. Okay, zoom maybe. Well, if we use zoom as a verb, we could say let's zoom to mean let's meet. I mean, that's obviously an incredibly new addition to the language just in the last few years as the Zoom video conference software has become so common, but it could be the answer. I mean, that is certainly a verb people use now. Some MIT grads, for short, EEs, electrical engineers, graduates of Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and some college entrance exams redundantly. SAT tests, I suspect, because the T in SAT already stands for test. So SAT test is redundant in the way that sort of PIN number or something like that is. Exam overseer. Well, a proctor could run an exam, perhaps an SAT test. And aid for a broken bone, a splint. You could, put a broken bone in a splint to keep it steady while it heals. Peninsula northeast of Africa. Peninsula northeast of Africa. Oh, the Arabian Peninsula? Arabia, there we go. Okay. I did literally think in my mind east versus west. Should have gotten that more quickly. That's fine. The Dalai Lama, of course, famous spiritual figure, and flanged support beam, an eye bar, so flanged by the kind of flanged by the the sort of serifs of the eye, basically. And minor quibble would be a nit. You could be a nitpicky person, pick a nit, a minor quibble. The way in Mandarin would be Dao, certainly a commonly referenced concept. and movie rating scale with fresh and rotten labels. So this is referring to the Rotten Tomatoes website. Do they call it the tomato meter or the tomatometer, maybe? I hope it's the tomatometer. All right. Damage. To damage, something is to mar it. Either literally or metaphorically, you could mar somebody's reputation. Apart from could be aside from this, apart from that, you could say. Unleavened Indian flatbread would be roti. Certainly had that plenty of times. And if you passed, I don't know, I suppose your SAT tests with flying colors, you could be said to have aced them. Really feeling it, so to speak. Dire, maybe? You're feeling ill? I don't know. You're really feeling it. I'm dire. Maybe. No, it's not. You're so sore. I'm really feeling it. I'm sore from either an illness or from, strenuous exercise or something. Some nest eggs for short, IRAs, these come up fairly commonly in the New York Times crossword as well, referring to individual retirement accounts. IRA stands literally for that. U.S. Sort of retirement plan. And then 2017 Pixar film with 2 Oscars, Coco. That was a very good film, I thought. Glide across a frozen pond, say. To ice skate is to glide across a frozen pond, say. And the say just means this is an example of that thing. So it's one way to glide across a frozen pond. To glide across a frozen pond doesn't literally mean to ice skate. It's just it's one way you could do that. So glide across a frozen pond, to say. Question mark is a bit of punctuation. And hairstyle associated with punk culture. Mohawk, certainly you see kind of 70s and 80s era punks and film. They're often adorned with mohawks. Even one. You could say any, not even one. And if something's tasteless, it's trashy, perhaps. Whatever you want, just say, name it. Name the thing you want, just say it. Oscar Blank, portrayer of Duke Atreides in Dune. So this is Oscar Isaac, who portrayed that character in the Denis Villeneuve adaptation of the Frank Herbert novel. And let's see, does this work here? Goat's plaint would be ma. So yes, goat's kind of utterance. It's plaint. And then I think we've seen everything else that's been crossed here. All right, a naval conflict is a sea war. It's not a phrase you hear often, I don't think, sea war, but it works perfectly well, and it fits. Place for a facial. You could get all sorts of different treatments, including ones to your face at a spa. A sport craze of the 2020s. Oh, pickleball. I still don't know exactly 100% what pickleball is, but it really has absolutely... people seem obsessed with it almost overnight. Anyway... assumed names are aliases, and debut performance is your... I don't know, I can't quite see it. Deal me a hand. I'm in, you could say, at the poker table or something. Recycling container could be a bin, toss it in the bin, and... premiere of the... debut performance of a particular, piece of music or something would be the premiere of that work. There we go. Okay. I was thinking of an individual person's debut performance, but that's not quite what this means. All right. Most evident. If something's the most evident, it's the plainest. It's perfectly plain to see. It's evident. Alleged offender to a cop. So, police could refer to an alleged offender as a perp, which I assume is shortened from perpetrator. Maker of bricks that weigh less than an ounce. Lego. So Lego bricks, the little toys, of course, individually do not weigh very much. Little pieces of plastic. Common cookout fare whose toppings can be found stacked in this grid. Oh, right. Okay. Well, here's our July 4th, I suppose, barbecue theme. So, onion. Oh, here's onion. Sorry, I just happened to see that. Oh, tomato. Right. Okay. So it'll be a burger. Well, I probably could have inferred it was a burger. It's funny. I didn't even look at the actual space in the grid, but that's obviously burger. Anyway, we've got tomato, onion, pickle. Oh, this will be cheese, I bet. Moons make up fancifully. Right, some kind of cheese. Is it Swiss cheese because of the sort of crate? I actually never occurred to me to think about what particular kind of cheese the moon is purported to consist of. I suppose I would guess it is Swiss cheese because of the moon craters resembling the holes in Swiss cheese. But let's look at the downs. Compound in some trendy oils, CBT. You certainly see that advertised all the time. And then oh no, it's not. Oh, is it CBD? Sorry. I always do this somehow. I always confuse CBD and CBT, which is a totally different thing. It's cognitive behavioral therapy. And for some reason, they just sound, obviously because they sound similar, for some reason confuse them. All right. Anyway, so to overthrow, I don't know, a ruler or something would be to depose that person. And then rose or fuchsia, either one of those is a hue. Of course, this is an or clue, so we're only referring to either rose or fuchsia, either one of which is a hue, as opposed to both of them, which would mean we'd need a plural answer with an S. Number of legs on a crab. Okay, this must not be Swiss cheese. What sort of cheese is it? How many legs do crabs have? 6? So what is this? Oh no, 10. Do they have 10 legs? Is it green? Oh, green cheese. Right, okay. Now that I see that, I do sort of vaguely remember the moon is made of green cheese. That sounds familiar. Number of legs on a crab, 10. Okay, how did I not know that? I guess I didn't just know that. I read this absolutely fascinating article the other day about how crabs are a strangely persistent evolutionary kind of pattern for animals. They've independently evolved numerous times over the course of the history of Earth, in the sense that they've gone extinct, but then re-evolved, not in the sense of sort of continued to evolve from earlier crabs, but the same basic crabness, that kind of configuration of an animal with the sort of shell and the claws and, that roughly that many legs and things like this, have repeatedly evolved, and evolutionary biologists aren't exactly sure particularly why that particular sort of animal format has been so persistent, why it would continue to independently re-evolve. But there's obviously something about it that is evolutionarily kind of successful or likely to occur. So absolutely fascinating. Anyway, La Louisiane, par exemple, would be État. So Louisiana is a state in the United States, of course, and État is French for state. So there we have it. And we can see that because the clue is in French, that pretty much always means the answer will also be in that language, in this case, French. Letters before Q sometimes. Oh, it could be LGBT, LGBTQ. So my first thought when I saw this was, oh, do they mean letters before Q in the alphabet? But fortunately, I had one cross that ruled that out immediately. So in this case, we're just talking about an initialism, a common initialism. Leave alone would be to... I don't immediately see that. Makes a mistake, errs, commits an error. Little stinker could be a brat, a sort of disobedient child. Disapproving noises could be tisks, tisk, 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 you could say. That kind of thing. Common patio furniture wood. Oh, teak, I guess. You do hear about that being used to make nice furniture. Leave alone. Oh, let me be, leave me alone. And to play bookie is to take bets. Okay. Like morbid humor is dark humor. And rot could be a noun or a verb. Go bad. Food could rot. It could go bad. This looks like glass onion. Yes, 2022 murder mystery movie with cameos by Serena Williams and Yo-Yo Ma. There we go, glass onion. So here we go. So far, all of the referenced films in today's crossword I have in fact seen. So there we go. Not always the case in these. Hillenbrand, who wrote Seabiscuit, an American legend. I'm not sure. What about this? Grain in an energy bar. grain, and you can have grains of oats in an energy bar. Cigarette discards would be the butts of cigarettes, and sphere of expertise would be one's area, one's sort of sphere of knowledge, and then that creates Laura Hillenbrand, who wrote Seabiscuit, an American Legend, about the titular racehorse. Moby Dick Captain, Captain Ahab, famously single-minded, obsessive captain of the Pequod in the Herman Melville novel, and touches on something sensitive. Hits a nerve. Disney princess with a tail would be Ariel, the Little Mermaid. Is it A or E? I think it's E. Nut that's a stimulant. Oh, betel nut, it's chewed by people in various various places as a kind of mild stimulant. I guess sort of like having a cup of, almost the equivalent of having a cup of coffee or something. Item on the back of a Jeep is a tire, spare tire, petit four. So this, I think, would literally translate in French to small oven, but I think what it more idiomatically means are sort of little baked goods that you could be served with, coffee or something like that. Clear now. See? All clear now? Do you see? And to regret something is to rue it. To irritate somebody is to vex them. And a summer setting in New York City, this presumably refers to a time zone setting, so clock setting. So Eastern Daylight Time would be what this is. If you took someone to court, you sued them, and a message that may include emojis is a text, of course. So there we go. And that was the Tuesday crossword. And indeed, we had a July 4th theme. We have constructed our burger, and on this burger, we topped it with cheese, pickle, onion, and tomato, which sounds pretty good to me. I would put all of those things on my burger. And there we have it. That was a nice, I think, fairly gentle Tuesday puzzle. It's what we expect from a Tuesday, and it was themed to the particular day at that. So well done to Barbara Lynn. Hope you enjoyed it. I will quickly move on to read this one comment I will read from yesterday's puzzle. I think there was just the one at the time that I checked it. And yes, it's from Dragon Traces, who is certainly becoming my habitual pronunciation guide on this series. And he corrects me, something that I know, sorry, this has been corrected before, and I apologize that it needed correcting again, but it did apparently. I referred to the Native American tribe, the Utes, for which Utah is named. I referred to them as the Utes, which is incorrect. They are the Utes. So thank you, Dragon Traces, for that. And that's that for today's video. I will be back tomorrow, of course, with a Wednesday puzzle, a midweek, mid-difficulty puzzle, so maybe a bit of a step up in challenge from the first two puzzles of the week, with a theme still, of course. So do come back for that. But until then, please do have an excellent remainder of your Tuesday. Take care.